again, I don't know that they need this honorific. They Super Bowl champion. They won the last football game of the year. They just named Kevin Patullo as their new offensive coordinator. It'll be Jalen Hurts' 6 different play callers first 6 seasons. So here's the deal. Jalen Hurts, the years they've made the Super Bowl, has been unbelievable. The intermittent years has been, okay. The most notable part of that is, of course, the most recent year. They made the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl. It was another year when he had a new offensive coordinator. Coach, I'll start with you.
Okay. So I've already unpacked this clip, in different segments because they talk about everything but actually Kevin Patullo. And so I really want to actually talk about this hire, the actual hire itself, because they talked about everything else but the actual hire. And I really want to unpack this because the fact that Jalen Hurts keeps having all these different play callers every single season, is a legitimate thing. And now there is the question and concern, will he take, will Jalen Hurts take a step forward or take a step back? And so the reality is this. There's actually really no confident, reliable way to know how good Kevin Patullo will be as an OC. You can have the optimism, there's no reason to necessarily have strong doubt either, but you can't have strong optimism either. You could have a high degree of confidence of Shane Steichen and Kellen Moore. I was one of the very loud people that praised Kellen Moore and was confident he would be successful. And a lot of people were like questioning that. They're like, oh, he was fired with Dallas and Dallas got better, which I disagree with. Oh, he wasn't good with the Chargers. I disagree with. And I was very comfortable and confident. And I kept saying this, they're going to have a success. They're going to have success. They're going to have success. And I was very confident in that regard. But there's really no strong sense because play calling is such an art. It's such an art and a science. And in a lot of ways, you kind of like got it or you don't. But there's also an evolution. There's also going to be a growth process in all of that. And there's just no real way to know how good of an actual play caller will he be in the NFL. What will his offense look like? What will his game plans look like? Will he be someone that Will he be someone that's quick to adjust his game plan? Or will he be someone who's quick to try to double down and say, no, this is what we're doing. This is what we planned on doing. Because again, it's an art and a science. Sometimes in a game, you realize, our game plan is not working. We have to adapt. We have to adjust. Sometimes you hit a crossroads in a game where you say, it looks like our game plan's not working. We're not going to deviate. We're going to stick with it. And we're going to just keep pressing forward because this is how we win. They're trying to force us to play a way that we don't want to play, and we're not going to do it. Sometimes, hey, this team is forcing us to play a way they don't think we can. Great, we're going to do it. They're giving us ample opportunities to take advantage of this, and this. Let's go for it. And again, it's a balance, and we just don't know. And that's okay. It's okay to admit that. It's okay to admit that. As Troy Aikman said in the Philadelphia Eagles' last playoff loss, which was over a year ago against the Tampa Buccaneers, he talked about, listen, play calling is hard. And the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles in 2023 just did not do a good job. It was that simple. And Troy Aikman really tries to not really say things negative. He's not that type of guy, but he was just kind of like, that's why he's like, it's a hard thing to do. Like he tried to put it in the nicest way possible because it is. It absolutely is. If you ask me, do you love this hire? It's kind of interesting because I kind of have two thoughts on that. One, they didn't interview anyone. And I saw, some people were kind of saying like, isn't that kind of concerning? They didn't interview someone. Shouldn't they have done more of their due diligence? And the answer to that was kind of like, no. It just shows you that everybody was on board with this hire. That this is what they wanted. The fact that they did this so quietly and quickly, no interviewing, no nothing, that everybody was on board with this. That Howie Roseman was on board, Sirianni was on board, Jeffrey Lurie, probably some influence of like Jalen Hurts to a degree as well, like that everyone is comfortable and confident with this. But there's still a lot that Kevin Patullo needs to prove. What he can and can't do, quite frankly, because every coach can't do everything, what he can and can't do in the NFL. And so important as a head coach is to understand what you're great at, what you're kind of good at, and what you're not good at. You always have to be honest about that. The problem with some of these younger, up and coming coaches is they always want to act like, no, I'm good at everything. I can do this all, because they don't have the experience and the confidence to accept, you know what? I'm not the best at blank. Whatever that may be. And, you see sometimes these younger guys, they kind of get backed into a corner or they just don't have the answers because they don't have the experience, especially in the NFL. So yeah, it was welcoming. I was confident with Shane Steichen because I saw it in the NFL. I was confident with Kellen Moore because I saw it in the NFL. I saw it. And I was very comfortable and confident it was going to work. And it did, obviously. They won a Super Bowl. Don't know if you know that. But even going into the Super Bowl, I had questions about Kellen Moore. I said, listen, this is going to be the biggest game of his career. This is the biggest moment in his career. I don't know how he's going to handle it because I have nothing to go off of. I have no idea. Is Fangio going to confuse him? Is he going to make a mistake? Is he going to abandon the run? Is he going to try to make Jalen throw too much? What is he going to do? I don't know. I have no idea. This is just another game for Spags and Andy. This is the biggest game for Kellen Moore. So there was like legitimate questions about that. And obviously Kellen Moore passed with flying colors. This is very much a prove it league. And so like I would have potentially been more confident. Doesn't mean that it would have been the better hire, but I would have been more confident with like a Frank Reich. Right? Someone who's proven in the NFL. And quite frankly, he was scapegoated as well. He did great with the Philadelphia Eagles and he did great with the Colts. He was scapegoated with then they get rid of Carson Wentz. It's just like, I don't really know what you want Frank Reich to be able to do in that situation. Then he goes to another terribly run franchise. Coaches need stability too. They need quarterbacks too. They need a good GM, good ownership, etc. Coaches need those things too. So I think Frank Reich, especially obviously the Philadelphia Eagles being comfortable with him, he also brings some cachet of like, I won a Super Bowl with this very team. Even some of the continuity with like Lane Johnson, for instance, could have gone some way. There's also the potential of Frank Reich. I think it would have been a slower process of him getting a head coaching job. I think if he was really successful with the Philadelphia Eagles and won a Super Bowl, some teams would want to poach him, but like not as aggressively because they would say, well, hey, we already saw this team win a Super Bowl. Like it's a little bit different. So I think there would have been, a little bit more. And I also think then Frank Reich would have been a little bit more strategic about the job because I don't think he would just jump to some team that's obviously been poorly run for, years and years and years and years and years. But I think ultimately someone who tries to be a head coach and fails ultimately wants to redeem themselves. But sometimes they are eventually just like, no, man, I'm good. I'm old enough. I got my wife. I got my kids, man. I just want to focus on the defense or the offense. Like I'm good. We saw that actually with the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles when they won the Super Bowl. His name has completely escaped me right now. And he was younger. He's not as young as these like 35-year-old coordinators and stuff like that. But he's, he reached a point where he's like, yeah, I'm good just being defense. It makes more sense when you're talking about a Fangio or a Spags because they're like older. They're at the end of their career. So I think a Frank Reich in that situation could have been a good hire. But again, I'm not going to come out here and say this is a bad hire because I don't know. And the truth is, and this is always an uncomfortable situation for the fans, there's no reliable way for the fans to know either. No one from the outside really can confidently say. We can try to force and find reasons to be optimistic, but there's really no real reliable way, which I know, for TV and media, it's like an unpopular opinion just to be like, I don't know, man. I don't know, it's easier for me to jump on in February to be like, Kellen Moore is going to be awesome with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm really excited to what he's done with this. He actually did great with Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. People are trying to act like, and I can go on and on and on and on. He actually did great with the Chargers. The problem with the Chargers were that there was a lot of injuries and the head coach was really kind of a disaster and blah, I can go confident. I can be firm. And people are like, yeah, confidence. Everyone loves to listen to people confident. People don't love to be like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And there's no strong reason to feel one way or the other. But that is the reality. I could easily make a video that I make with Kevin Patullo, if I said, this is an awesome hire, would get way more views, way more likes, way more engagement, and people would just say, yeah, you're so smart. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be very honest with my perspective because I want my words to have meaning. When I say something positive about the Philadelphia Eagles, I want people to say like, yeah, that's because he really believes that. And if I say something negative about the Philadelphia Eagles, I want people to be like, yeah, he's not being a hater. He's not being just negative for the sake of being negative. It's because he really believes it. And he's basing it off of his own logic and what, how he sees things. I want that to mean something. Because like I said, it would be so easy for me to be like, this is an awesome hire. The Philadelphia Eagles are really comfortable with Patullo. He knows this team so well. Him and Jalen Hurts have a relationship and and I could do that, but it wouldn't really be authentic. And it would really be just a ton of guesswork. And I don't love to guess predictions. If I'm going to make predictions, I want it to just be more logical. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm curious how Philadelphia Eagles fans feel about this. It's obviously not like a hot shot hire like Cliff Kingsbury was, like, Kellen Moore was, right? Like we know some of these hires just pack a bigger punch. Fangio was, all of those things. This is definitely more of a lukewarm hire, but it doesn't mean that it's the wrong hire. It could be absolutely a slam dunk. He could be absolutely on one. And he has an awesome relationship with all the players, and the players love him, and his understanding of play calling and game and play design and game management. The dude is just wise beyond his years. We just don't know. And any of the previous experience that he's had, whether college, NFL, it's just not enough. It's just not enough to have these strong opinions of, I think Jalen Hurts is going to be able to take a step forward. Because I just don't know. And that's it's okay. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles' new offensive coordinator and the sheer fact that it's his sixth, it's Jalen Hurts' sixth different play caller? I think his 10th since high school or something outrageous like that. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.